Over.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angela, and this is Dan Clark.
Hey.
And we're with Heart to Heart here interviewing a very special guest, Gayle Markley. And Gayle is an ex-Worldwide Church of God member who we're going to learn about tonight. So I guess we're going to ask a few little questions.
Yeah,
Gayle,
and let me just say this. I just want to say the Worldwide Church of God is a lot like the Jehovah's Witnesses in the sense that, you know, they had similar magazines. They had the Plain Truth, the Good News, the World Tomorrow.
Yeah, matter of fact, these different some of the magazines we used to have. See, you guys who are worldwiders listening to us,
just like Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah,
and except they did other things, the Sabbath and the holy days. So sometimes we like to bring these guests on just so people can see that other religions, you know, you don't have to be a victim in your religion. You don't have to say, oh, it only happened to us, this happened to us. But we can look at other people and say, well, they were in the same mindsets, the same thinking, you know, maybe waiting for the world to end, and you know what I mean? And we can, the comparison helps us. It helps us not be a victim of our own religion.
That's right.
So anyway, go ahead.
Gayle, so we just like to know a little bit about.
Thank you first for coming on.
Yes, thank you so much, Gayle.
I know it takes a lot of courage to get on here.
It sure does.
And
but she's going to tell us her personal experience of believing. And Gayle, I was just curious. You were born in, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then how many years were you in before you finally were not?
18.
18 years.
18. Now, did you leave, or did you drift away, or did you leave, or?
That is such a good question. And in speaking with you previously at a certain point, you'd mentioned something like that, and it stayed with me, that question, because I never made I don't know if I ever learned how to think for myself, or there's something, man. And when about the timeline, the exact time that I turned 18, the church itself fell apart. I mean, it was a little, I mean, or it was going in that direction. And so
what happened to it, Gayle? Did it? I know it was more holy days and Sabbaths and that. And was it trying to go Christian? Is that what happened when it split?
Well, yes. I mean, all of the things that, not all of the things. Okay, I'm really struggling to be accurate here. Let me back up. I got to be general. So at the time I was 18, going actually 19. I had become pregnant before marriage, and I was suspended from the church, you know, as an example. You know, this is what you do not do. The father of my sons is wonderful. Thankfully, he was not a member of this church.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, a lot was happening. I do feel for my parents at this time, because, you know, it's like a paradigm shattering thing. I mean, this has happened to me many times, where, you know, everything that you think is not, and or you feel like the rug is pulled out from under your, you know, people, you know. But yeah, I have a beautiful family. I have a wonderful family, and I have two brothers. One is a little less than 2 years younger than me, so he grew up the similar way I did. And then my little brother, who's 15 years younger, and so he wasn't affected quite as much as you know, my brother, I want to say his name, and I were. And I had emotional issues. I had some issues. There were things that, you know, in Worldwide Church of God, you were not encouraged to see, you know, whether it was medical and for sure mental. I mean, and, you know, I think, Angela, it was you that I learned that there was a terminology called loaded language. And there was, you know, I can remember, and I don't remember everything. I mean, there are things that I don't. I have gaps in them, and I am not sure why, but I'm starting to remember a lot more than I can. But at 5 years old, it's like being thrown to the wolves. And in school, I had a very difficult time because nobody understood me. And then it's like it was the fault of, here my parents are trying to do the best they can, and the school's saying, no, it's you. Well, there's several different types of abuses, and I'm finding out that this church was a mass. I don't want to say this because, this is really interesting. This is the first time I've done this. Oh, wow. I'm okay.
Do you know
I'm
something?
learning now, Dan. Okay, go ahead. I'm only
God
looking.
calls us to speak the truth. And
Yes.
it's okay. It's okay to say something is what it was, because Jesus had to stare in the face of the Pharisees. And he said, you're whitewashed graves, you're this. So it's okay. It's actually Christ is calling us to truth. The truth sets us free. Do you know
Yes.
that? And your
Yes.
truth will set people free too.
Yes. Yes. And I thank you for this. I don't know. I'm doing this because it's really important for me, because and I've been, I'll say this, I've been sober for a good 10, coming up on 10 years.
Wow.
And within this, for sure, you talk about, I blazed a trail. And I'm going forward I just know this going forward. If I need to make amends, if I need to, my life, it's probably more than it needs to be out there. I'm okay with that. The important thing is we learn and grow, and we're willing to do that.
Amen.
And, but the thing is, it's amazing what I didn't know, what I still don't know, what the effect that this had on me. And it's interesting because, I wasn't a cheerleader in church. I wasn't, it was a very small area of Central Coast, and there weren't a lot of kids in that. And what I want to say is the people are good. It's the organization that isn't. And it's not about bringing up, like this. It's so bizarre because nobody seems to. I'm still amazed that it's not more, but I guess by design, more well known than maybe it would be. It wasn't, there are thousands of children that were born into the time frame that I was, and something does happen. I know my parents know this, and I love my parents so much, and oh man, the way this started for my mother was that her father, my grandfather, said, hey, this is, and I understand this very well. I understand the draw. I understand, man, you run it a sign up at the door until you get in, and none by design. You're not supposed to see these things coming and whatever. But my grandfather was the one that really got all of, my mom, her, a couple of her brothers, I believe, and her sister, and mom even, you do the correspondence course, it's making sense. My very musical family. My grandma was like the concert pianist. She was amazing. My mom taught piano, there's a lot of music. And so they were, she played in the church and did all that. Okay, so my point is this. It made sense. My mom goes to college. She meets her soulmate. They happen to have a wonderful experience. My dad and mom met there. I wouldn't be here if not for that. But after not long into this church, my mom's family decided to leave. And, it's that thing with my, all of my cousins, these are my, instead of excommunicating basically what we did on both sides, which you just didn't talk about this. And it gets very, it's like this ball of string where the best and the worst is running through it. And you don't know, I didn't know what to do. I wasn't understood anywhere. And it's really interesting because it wasn't maybe because I always went to school in the world. What do you call it? Just regular school.
Yeah, public school. Yeah.
Yeah. And I did have a couple of friends. What I noticed though, after very early on, and this was I even had to call somebody and say, hey, do I need to talk about this? Because I think I've already made amends for this, but I wasn't, the things that I did, I lied about. I ended up starting to do that because you figure out, well, for crying out loud. This person is not understanding where I'm coming from. What is going on? And so you kind of, I did this. I would make it more so. I mean, people had to know what we were doing. I mean, it was to the minute. It was the most legalistic thing. It's kind of like, and my parents tried, and we had to toe the line. There were, you had to show the other day. I said, in some ways, had to be extra responsible. We had to be like, in other ways, maybe, I don't know. It's hard to explain because out of, like my family, for the most part, just fully indoctrinated, fully and I didn't even realize, in fact, laugh at this if you want, not long ago, within, maybe a year or two, I thought I was not only not affected by this, hey, I mean, and maybe I'm the only one that's not, and lo and behold, the reason I'm doing this is because I started manifesting symptoms of like, what is this? I mean, I don't know how much I've never spoke about, 12, we'll say 12 step. Okay, so I found my way there, and that is how I became sober. You two were instrumental in getting me to realize that the 12 step that I'm in, I don't know if I can say the name or not. I don't know if I'm supposed to do that, or I'm trying to keep.
Yeah, sure.
Well, okay, so AA wasn't a cult, because the whole time I was there, I got in, and I knew somehow subconsciously this is the only way that I just knew I needed to, nothing else worked. But it was like, don't tell me what to do. You better not tell me what to do, but you better tell me what to do.
Yeah.
and I was like, I couldn't believe it. And I would be like, why doesn't anybody seem to feel like I feel? I mean, I would die. I mean, I'm dying in this room trying to, you don't just do what you do, share. I mean, and that's how the healing comes. And honestly, it was I know it's not. And I thank you for that, because I had to this past year's been pretty tough, because I've realized there is such a thing as complex post-traumatic stress. You do not see these things coming by a design. I haven't been able to talk with anybody that, this church split into many different offshoots, apparently. What my mom and dad did, and I gotta say, it took them a long time, decades, probably years. You didn't know what to do, but they said, okay, we're gonna go. They needed to go where they go. They went to far away and, different state, whatever. And they had each other. They had each other. They had each other, but they rethought it. They said, let's start from zero, and let's just, read the word for what it says. We don't have to, that boy would have, and we'll, and it changed. Their beliefs changed a little bit, but at the same time, it's more like, for me, I keep it very general. Golden rule. I believe in the word of God. I love the Lord. I mean, thankfully I do, because I've been all over the place. I mean, I got pregnant, married very young. I was a young mother. I have two beautiful sons. Thank you. They have a wonderful father. I am not married to him anymore because I was going downhill pretty fast, and nobody knew what to do. It was the worst of the worst. And I run on some very, I'm very blessed, and I'm very grateful that I have been able to, heal. There's been progress. There has been such progress. And what I want from this, and you two have been so instrumental in this, you have allowed me to, Angela, you were the first one that I ever saw on YouTube or anywhere that said ex-worldwiders. That means, because Dan, I didn't decide necessarily. What I had to do was, because I had children and I had a husband, and I had to be like, well, we have to be agreed, and we're gonna, and I went that way. So I mean, basically, he has a strong, wonderful family. I never kept Christmas or any of those things, but I had to learn. And I kind of fumbled through that. I realized, I mean, that created some issues because I did not know what I was doing. And, but it's like this. Okay. Then I get sober and I'm trying to work through all this. And I'm working through, healing and what comes from this. I want good to come from this. It's not about staying a victim and rehashing the bad, or it's what can, nobody's life is for no reason. And there have to be other people who, know this. It's like I don't have words to explain, and I think, as you can tell, I'm trying my best right now. Oh, I'm probably not doing the greatest.
You're doing
You did a really good job.
I was going to
actually.
tell you, Gail, when I came out, I kept looking up in the sky because I kept thinking Jehovah was going to come over the mountain and grab me out of my car and shake me and stomp me under his feet, because we were told that Jehovah's going to crush my head under his feet. That's where the gnashing of my teeth will be. So I couldn't put sentences together. I was afraid to talk, that I was going to
He was bound
mess
up
with
like
God.
you can't believe
I
it.
was like, which way do I go? And I want to tell you this, it took me 10 years to use my brain. 10 years before people were like, how come you can't think? How come you can't make decisions? How come you can't come to, because I never used my brain before. I never had to think. All I had to do was follow. And so we just went in, followed the rules. You guys had holy days set. As long as you did that, you were good in your little pen. And so I didn't know how to act in the world. I have been most of my life silent with my voice. I haven't talked. And just so you know, I came back after 18 years. I had to recover that long. And I turned back and I saw my brother. And guess what? He had looked like he had severe mental illness. And he looked at me and he talked real slow. He had a hard time with sentences. And I said, by God, I'm going back. Me and Angela hired a photographer. And I says, I'm going to do videos till hell freezes over, because they're destroying my brother. He had the same thing. The organization is changing just like yours did. The organization don't care. Oh, let's just be Christians. Oh, what are you talking about? And so the same thing's happening in Jehovah's Witnesses. It's coming apart at the seams. The older people are wondering, do I have schizophrenia? What is going on in here? Is this real? We're going to be raptured up now? Oh, this is going to happen. And they're like, oh my God, we didn't believe that before. So when that happens, that messes with our brains. We have an infrastructure, which is the table, the religion that we sat in, the religion that we worshiped in, the religion that we were a part of was an infrastructure under us. And Watchtower just yanked the things out, like you said, pulled the rug out, flipped you over on your head and said, just adjust to it. We're Christian.
Yes. And, it's interesting. You had mentioned, oh man, well, I'll tell you, I found your email through trying to get to Angela going, okay, you asked a question. It has stayed with me. I'm reading Power versus Force. I'm the hope. Heck, if I'm going to stay and, I'm reading, I learned that there's a difference between letting go and surrender. I'm reading that one too, but this is really important stuff. You mentioned something very important, and, yes, you get to a point. This is part of the reason that, and I believe it, and it is happening. Healing is happening, and it's, yes. God, if there's a reason that He gets you to something, and but you won't be left there. He will bring you through it. Amen. And it's like, I feel like I'm the only one, and that's another thing. I mean, it's hard, but now that I'm after meeting you guys, I mean, I can see that there is almost like a standard. I mean, it's done by design. You are not, and when this is all, my mom and dad, let me say this, what did they, the other day, and it was like, I said, you guys, I'm not even in the same boat you are, but it's so wonderful, effective communication, being willing to talk with me, things I didn't know. And the thing here is that I don't think they did either. And I believe them, so you've got families within congregations that vary. Nobody's really talking, and congregations can vary from place to,
Yes.
And, we mentioned that. And I'm like, Dad, this is not my parents' fault. I can understand. This makes beautiful sense. This makes perfect sense. I mean, my very educated people, my parents, very, this makes sense. I see the draw, but I can understand what happens when I read Bobby Fischer's letter. That's interesting. I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about, but that one helped a little bit.
No.
He was the chess champion of the year. He was
Right.
involved in this.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
But when he started noticing his inner,
GPS or
yes, Bobby Fischer, the chess, whatever, he actually was. That's a very interesting letter. It came out one time to help anybody, and I related to a lot of it. I just want to say, I want good to come from this.
Mhm.
And it is happening. And when you talk about, I have some issues and very early on I did. And what's interesting is that in the church of God, it's everything that you do or feel or have to say or whatever, is ends up being your fault in some ways.
Yeah.
Somehow, and you end up like it's somebody explained something because they noticed I was freer. And she said something like, you're breaking free from the chains that your parents put around you in love.
Yes.
And I because I'm going for freedom. Listen, happy, joyous, and free. I am grateful. All we have is today. All we have is this moment. I mean, I weird out on that. Like I just said that, and that's there. But I mean, I've noticed like it's time. I am reaching out. Angela, I'm reading your book. I tell you, the first few chapters were like, and I'm a slow reader, and sometimes I have to read it myself. I'm like, man, I'm hoping she's getting to the tool soon because it was just, I was resonating because it's just, I mean, but we can, if there's a disorder, we look for order. If there's an imbalance, we're trying to bring balance. If there's, dysfunction, we're trying to function. I'm learning these things. And this is the first time in my life, I know a lot of people didn't make it. And then a lot of people stayed and just, I've spoken with a few that understand where I'm coming from. My brothers were able to go, okay, I get it. They know me. They're like, Gayle, we know, we can understand based on everything. I mean, clearly. But they didn't end up, my closest one to me, he's just like, man, and I asked him the question you did. I said, when was the time then, Lee, when you said, okay, no, because he just thinks it's complete BS. He goes, I mean, by the time I'm 16, he goes, we should have talked more, huh? I go, yeah. And I go, that's a weird time frame too. But I said, because I was asked this question and I wasn't sure how to answer it because some things work and some things don't. Cults don't. And there is, I'm just saying in a simple way, I absolutely know what did not, well, it was impossible to live up to what, that's not a human possibility. And how is this, and we never, boy, why don't I understand, the triune God, or why don't well, now I know why.
Yes.
I mean, hello, if they would have just said that, oh, okay. And then I had to think about, was I loved unconditionally? I know the intention was there. I know that I'm healing. I know that this thing can be a bear. I mean, I grew up in Worldwide with well-intended parents that know they get it. They would be on this team here. But they said the other day, they're like, we were just able to, we were able to drop it at the end of it, like, and I'm like, yeah, but you weren't. And that was one of the biggest things in growing up, is that they were so united in their but and here's the thing too. My dad was always respectful to my mother. And, I can't explain how this is. I think that our family was blessed. I have
Yes.
wonderful, they really were loving enough to really understand. But I remember sometimes some heated discussions, and my mom's over here, and they're saying, Kathleen, Mom, I mean, whatever my mom's name is. And I don't mind. Oh, well, anyway, sorry if I did.
I think you did.
I have fear of doing it wrong. I have fear of saying the wrong thing. I have
Yes,
fear
I
of being
have those problems too, where I'm afraid of everything.
Yeah.
Everything I do, everything I say.
Do you know when I met Angela, just so you know, I couldn't put sentences together. Angela had to, we'd go to a customer's house and Angela would have to finish my sentence. And I just quit drinking. I drank for 40 years, destroyed my life, destroyed my brain. But I had a therapist that told me, he said, Dan, listen to me. Every time you drink, you're going to have more problems. You're destroying this part of your brain, the executive decision part of your brain. And so when I met Angela, I would start talking and then I would just forget what I was
Trail
saying.
off or
And
something.
Angela say, well, what Dan was trying to say was,
And I'd finish it.
and I kept doing that. And I'm going to tell you something. You hear me now, right? God put me back together and he gave me homeostasis. He gave me peace. I could trust God. He's a God of love. He's a God who can reorganize me. He reorganized my brain. He built me on a rock mass. And that's what he can do. He'll do it for anybody. All we have to do is turn to God, and it's one day at a time. Make me whole. Why do you think we pray for wholeness? What is wholeness? Religion has compartmentalized us. Religion has said, when you leave here, you're a dead man. We've had to struggle with death sentences, curses, right?
Yes.
So, but God says, you know what? You're going to end up knowing me. And then when you know me, you're going to fall in love with me because I love you. You're all my children. And I'm going to make all things new in you. I'm going to tear down this temple that Worldwide Church of God built. I'm going to tear down this temple that the Jehovah's Witness built in you. And I am going to build my temple. And my temple is love. And you're going to learn to love like I am. God put me back together. God gave me my mind back. God stopped me from compartmentalization and split minds and not trusting myself, not trusting my voice. But it's all one day at a time. It just, Angela's working through it now.
Yeah.
One day at a time. Angela's still working on the trust and different things with God. Go ahead.
Yeah. And rejection is still an issue for me. But Gayle, about my book, in the beginning, what I wanted to do was I wanted to kind of establish what I learned out of all this. So I had to kind of express what happened in Worldwide and then how I got free for a little bit. And then I got into another, messed up thing. But from there came the beautiful jewels and the lessons that are so beautiful. And so the rest of the book you'll find is quite glorious because there's lots of wonderful stories, not just mine, many people, and you will love them. And I even talked about Greg Braden's heart math and how I learned to get my heart and my head connected by a certain way that you kind of go into this compassion zone of something that you like. Maybe it's your grandma, or maybe it's a special animal that's being abused by the neighbor, or I don't know, whatever that brings an I love that grandma, I love that pet, and you bring that feeling in, and then that begins to connect your brain and your heart. And then from there, you once you get that done, you can start really communing with the divine, with God, with the Father, and you pray for others real easily. But we have to learn how to get into our heart space. So Greg Braden, who's a scientist, teaches you. So that's in the book. I'm going to actually talk about that tomorrow at the Boise Rescue Mission, how to get going with a prayer, because sometimes people are so afraid of praying and they think, I'm not going to say it right, I'm not going to do it right, and what if God doesn't hear me, and all these worries about it. And yet Greg Braden showed how you just get your heart connected by thinking of a compassionate thing, and that engages your brain, and then all of a sudden God's right there. It's beautiful, and I just love it. It's so simple, it's so easy, it's not complicated, and suddenly you find you're in a good space, and prayer comes easily after that. So I'm going to talk about that tomorrow at the Boise Rescue Mission, because it's really a great little chapter. It's in chapter 11, the last part of it. So anyway, there's so many great stories. You won't believe it. And I'm excited for you to read the rest of it.
And you've already taken the quantum leap, Gayle, of saying, I've got to be liberated. I've got to be free. I've got to know what God is. And so that's all God asked. And he says, I'll do the rest. And I'm going to rebuild your temple like it's never been built before. I'm going to make you more beautiful than you've ever been before, more sharper than you've ever been before. I'm going to make all things new. What people don't realize in these cults, you may not like that word, but in these religions, is the religions want to build their temple within us. And they did. They built their temples within us, their infrastructures, their laws. They made God in their image. And we didn't know that. And then when we went to try to get out, we realized our whole world was built around the religion. We don't even know ourselves. That's what you're finding out. I don't even know me. I don't even know who I am, right? Who am I? What's all this about? You know, my parents are good people, and I believe your parents are wonderful people. And I believe the reason they didn't get so caught up in it is they had an education and they were able to adjust. Some people educated were able to adjust a little.
And they got to do critical thinking skills.
Yes.
Probably. And I'm just curious, Gayle, if you don't mind my asking, but were your parents actually brought up in the Worldwide Church of God?
No.
Okay.
Grandpa.
No.
Grandpa, that's right. I remember now.
Did they go with the Christian side, or did they stay with the old side?
When it's all together.
Oh, they got out all together?
Yeah, they all did. They saw the light.
Oh.
Okay. My mom, I don't know, Angela, you would know this. I would be a very young, not even in school, but there were a lot of times when it was questionable what's going to happen. I mean, whether it was, government, all that, right? And there were some big decisions to make, some pivotal early on in Worldwide Church of God. And it was a huge decision. I feel for my mother more than ever when I think about what she, like just trying to do the right thing and but she did quite well. And, my parents were always, my mom did piano. She was that, and my dad always did the PA system and anything else she ever needed and whatever. We were there early. Talk about a non-rest day. It was unbelievable. I thought, and nothing, you don't, maybe that's it. I didn't feel included anywhere. And it was just stress everywhere you turned. You mentioned a couple things. No, they weren't. Neither one of them. And they come from solid, wonderful families, and both have college educations. My dad's literally, I say this, he's so humble, a genius. He's literal. He's brilliant. My mom, they're just great. But anyway, and very task oriented, cookie cuttered out for this space. I wish my mom's my hero. I'm like, how do you, man? But anyway, okay.
Did your parents keep Christmas when they were kids?
Yeah. Yes.
Gotcha.
And, yeah. How about that? And I see, but you don't know how, but anyway, whatever. Yeah, they did. They know, but the thing is,
do they know?
It's I don't think they do necessarily, but they don't look at anything like, they wouldn't look at that as sin or wrong or like, they don't, but they ended up, for so many years. No, I don't, no, I'll say no.
But the love thing, right? Because, I always like to, people are so love that time of year. So I like to bake cookies and just do good things, right? Do kind things.
Absolutely. Yes. You remind me a lot of my family. When I first heard you talking, I'm like, man, this is even bizarre it's like hearing it's interesting. There's this tone, but, you mentioned something, both you did. One was, yes, I finally it changed my life when I read, I finally went, okay, because I was relating, it was resonating the first few chapters of the book. It's not the same story. And that was the thing that I thought, I hope we're not including the whole thing, because I want to make, I can understand both sides, lady. You've been through it. Okay. And when I think back, I go, man, I've asked this question too. I asked it in sobriety to somebody I trust. And, because what you said, one of the number one things we need to do is learn to think for ourselves and to trust ourselves. And therefore we can trust others, and we can, I mean, hello, reasoning, common sense. This is what our, hello. And I mean, yes.
Hey,
And
Gail,
it's coming along, but you said it.
I'm not gonna read it all, Dan, don't
Okay.
worry. I was just gonna read this first paragraph in this article that was written by these gals. Let me tell you their name. I'll just read the first two little parts of it. By Deanne, former WCG member, and Mara Lee, child survivor of Worldwide Church of God, last updated 2003. So they wrote this article together. It's funny they didn't give their last names. That's interesting. But anyway, it's called a pseudo personality article caused by being in cult, from Worldwide Church of God website for cult survivors. So here's how what the gals said. Children raised in cults or cultic groups have been subjected to many expectations and demands by the ministers and parents alike to create submission and conformity to the group teachings. The intense pressure to think and act in two different ways caused a cult identity or pseudo personality to begin to form. This pseudo personality repressed their authentic self and was a dissociative defense which allowed the mind to cope with and adapt to the contradictory and intense demands of the cult environment. When an adult comes out of a totalitarian group that they did not spend their life in, they are usually encouraged during recovery to connect back to their authentic or pre-cult self. Unfortunately, children who have been born or raised in an oppressive or abusive group have difficulty with this, as the pseudo-personality stifles the child's true self and hindered the opportunity to develop critical thinking skills. And I'll just read one more paragraph. Additionally, the child raised with harsh structure and discipline has had to learn to live simultaneously according to two different sets of rules: the group teachings, which is the only acceptable worldview, and the outside world, which they also must live in. Each separate world carries with it a different value system and belief system, which cause the child to question the validity in each system and can lead them to confused and conflicting beliefs regarding both worlds. These children internalized a view that neither world is safe, and becomes even more isolated within themselves. Accordingly, if there is corresponding physical and emotional abuse and trauma within the family structure and or cultic environment, the child undoubtedly will not have a good sense of self or identity. So I'll stop there. It goes on though. But anyway, interesting.
Send it to her too.
Yeah, it goes on. There's another two pages worth of really incredible stuff. But that little bit of this, little bit of that, little tiny things that add together to start bringing us to our wholeness. And it doesn't happen overnight. I so bad wish that it did, but that's not how God has it set up. I'm probably like most people. They just want it all done now. Just God fix me now. All of it, just fix me, and he doesn't. Not usually, not. That's rare.
Yeah, but I wanted to comment, Gayle, one of the reasons, I'll just say this, one of the reasons they keep you in the mindset of you can't do enough is because it makes us a good slave. So when you go to them and they say, did you gossip? You go, yeah, I did talk to one sister about. They keep you in this guilt complex because you say, well, what do I got to do to get better? Well, keep serving Jehovah, keep making your meetings, keep going door to door, maybe do a little bit more door to door. Yeah, it don't matter what you go to them. You're never enough. You never did enough hours.
Oh, yes.
Jehovah only accepts your best. Well, I went out 5 hours today. Could you have went 6, Brother Clark? Did you do your return visits? Did you do this? Well, I wouldn't be doing anything for myself if I did all that. But they kept me in a constant thing where I had this guilt on my back. And one day I told God, take this guilt off me. Get this. I can't function. It's like no matter where I go, I didn't get enough hours. I didn't do the meeting right. I didn't comment right. I didn't comment in my own words. Are you having a Bible study, Brother Clark? We noticed when you commented, that wasn't coming from your own words. That was really kind of thrown together. Are you having a home Bible study? I never could do enough, and it almost killed me not doing enough. But I realized that makes a good slave.
Yeah.
It does, and that totally resonated, both of what you just said. And I also am very pleased to say, because I'm willing, because I accept it is what it is. I am who I am. and there's measurable progress. It's not as, yes, everything you said was absolutely, true, but there's also been progress. And actually, this is me in a very almost overloaded, I mean, it's been that way, but I've handled it better. I mean, I never would have done this before. I'm just trying to, heal myself, and I know that it's happening. I trust that, and maybe it helps another in some way. I mean, I don't know.
You'll never be the same after
No,
this,
you
Gayle.
won't. You won't.
Because you stepped up to here, this is another link.
It
It's
is.
another link put
Love
together that you accomplish something. We all need to feel like we're accomplishing something. So just walking through your fear
Yes.
changes you forever.
It
You
does.
felt the fear and you said, turn on the
And you
recorder.
did it. You did it, Gayle. You did. I mean,
You're
it's a big
so
deal.
cute.
And doesn't it resonate what Angela just read about
Yes.
we not knowing
Yes.
ourselves and being totally,
Yeah.
separated from our thinking, can't think. It's so well done what that lady said.
It really is.
Yes,
Well,
it is.
we sure love you, Gayle, and I think you did this beautiful, beautiful job. I really do mean it. But I know you're probably not done saying everything you want to. What else did you want to bring out? Because
You're so nice. You did that so well. No, I just want to say that it's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have gotten to some of the places where, and I am reading Power versus Force, and I'm finding out I've been spinning in the wrong direction, thinking it's exactly what I wasn't doing. Okay, things are happening. I want to thank you because I wasn't sure. I just reached out, and if you hadn't said what you did, and I got to your book and just kept going and going, I would not be here today. I really mean that. This is amazing. I'm 54. I mean, I'm, and I'll be darned if I'm not going to, come through this. After the rain, the sun shines.
You're
I
coming
know,
through.
say
You're
that.
coming through. And you don't look 54 at all.
no,
So you're keeping yourself good. And God's restoring everything. Trust me, from head to toe, He's restoring
I
everything.
believe it. I
And-
received that.
In Power versus Force, the way we get out of an attractor field, they're called attractor fields, the energy field of fear, doubt, worry, confusion, is we say to the, oh Lord, help me find homeostasis, help me become whole, help me become the person you wanted me to be when you created me. When you knitted me together in the womb, you had a plan for me, an idea to unfold in a certain way, a beautiful way, unlike anybody else, not above, not below, but unlike anybody else. And I want that. And you know what? God will start piecing it. You're going to bloom like the flower. That's what the message is of the lotus flower, that we come out of the mud. That's what we were. We were in the mud where we were dirty. And look at this flower that comes out and goes like this. And people have to look twice. They're like, that is beautiful. God likes to show off. He likes to take us in our compartmentalization, split minds, schizophrenia, whatever the hell religion, the witchcraft they put us under, and he's pulled us out, and he says, I'm going to do bragging rights on you.
yeah.
I received that. I really thank you for saying it. I believe that. It's amazing what we do to protect ourselves or to get through it. And we are child survivors.
Yes,
Yeah,
we are.
yeah.
But it's more than surviving. We want to thrive. We want to, just like you said, everybody matters. Everybody matters. Everybody, I love everybody. I want to, but thank you.
Gail, honestly, you know what, you keep saying that, like, it's so important to you that we bring something positive that's helpful to people. It's been so important to you, and which is the love of God in you.
Yes.
First of all, number one. Number two, I'll tell you another thing. It's a genius mind. I already know it. I want to tell you something. I worked for lawyers when I was in my early 20s, after I got out of high school, and they were all pretty much all alcoholics, right? But they were all the most amazing people. And I realized, I thought, in my early 20s, I'm telling you, I was 21, like that young. And I'm like, what is the common denominator here? I don't know. I thought it through one day, and I thought, It's genius. They're geniuses, every one of them. And I thought, and Dan, genius, absolutely. And I thought, okay, so you know what's interesting is they don't quite fit in society because of it, see? And so they have to do something to lower their consciousness, if you will, to fit in with everybody.
Alcohol.
To fit in with everybody else, see, so that you're in the same vibration, because your vibration's higher than everyone else, and you're not fitting, see. So you have to drink or do drugs to bring yourself down a notch so that everybody gets you, and you're hoping they will anyway, but they never really do, and it's a disappointment. So you drink more and it just never ends. So you guys finally have to say, well, this isn't working either. But what's so beautiful is, see, you're so smart that you know that everyone else doesn't want to hear the same old stories of drama, trauma, pity party, victim. You already are so smart that you already know that you don't want that. It's just a highly intelligent and highly conscious. And I just want to commend you for that, because it's amazing that God made you that way, and he made Dan that way, and he made all those guys who I worked for like that, and they were amazing people. And
You would think I was unrepairable.
yeah,
I really did.
Yeah,
I thought I was unrepairable
It
from
was
the
that bad.
alcohol.
Look at me. Yeah.
You're just doing great. You're beautiful too.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
And you got a lot to give yet. You know, I always tell people the worldwide or Jehovah's Witnesses don't have to be the last chapter in our book, because you know, we think it is. That's when you go victim. They did this to me. They did that to me.
Or you go
No, when God gets a hold of you and he makes all things new, now you're living on purpose. Now you discover why you're here, what your purpose is. We didn't know who we were. We weren't told what we were. We were told we're worldwiders. We didn't identify with a person that was made in the image and likeness of God. We're made in the image and likeness of God. And we're not any better than anybody else, but we're unique. We're like a diamond. We all have different fingerprints, like snowflakes. So he must have had something in mind. And that thing that he had in mind was very beautiful. The world needs us. The world needs us to show up as he created us to be. And when we do, we fulfilled what God's purpose was. And all of us have been born into cults, religious ideas, academianism, political. It doesn't matter the religion either, because it doesn't matter if you're Hindu, Buddhist, whatever. God knitted them together in the womb too. I said that the other day, and the Christians about freaked out. I said, are you calling God a fool? I said this. I said it on. I said he knitted the Muslim, he knitted the Hindu, he knitted the Buddhist
in the mother's
womb. Now you telling me God is a fool? Yes. He had to put them together, and so they grow up being a Buddhist, they grow up being a Hindu, they grow up. Now you're telling me that God is going to burn them in hell and torture he born his own children so he can torture them? No. All people, here's the thing, Gayle, here's the secret. All people, regardless of the religion, have to surrender to God, however you call him. God is bigger than names. God is bigger than what we put him in. God is bigger than Christianity. God is bigger than Buddhism. God is bigger. God is the all in the in all. And he says this. He says, I made you. You chose, you wanted to learn good and evil. So you went around like a god, you know, playing good and evil. And then there's a time where Jesus said that the two will become one, meaning it won't be me, myself, and I in self-serving. It'll be your will be done in me. It's like I am the Father now. And so we're being called into divine union. Jesus says, as I was in union with the Father and the Father's in union with me, that you would come into union with us. So that's what's beautiful. Now it's open to every religion. Every religion says, I want union. I want to come into that union, that oneness. I want to do your will. I want to serve you. So it doesn't matter the religion. Call God what you want him. We called him Jehovah, and we said only those who call in the name of Jehovah will be saved. Christianity, only those who bow the knee to Jesus. Genocide Jesus is coming to kill everybody. No, genocide Jehovah is going to come kill everybody. Really? Where do all these genocide gods come from? Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
God is love. Jesus said God is love.
Amen.
He loves all his children, regardless of what religion they are. He does. They're just walking like we were. We preach genocide to anybody who didn't know Jehovah's name. Christianity preaches the same.
Yeah.
Oh, it was doomsday. I mean,
I know.
I mean, that was probably a little much.
No, it's okay. That's deep. No, I mean, no, I'm trying to.
Make it all fake too, Dan.
That's what's that?
He told me one day, I said, Lord, where are we going? When I was leaving the Jehovah's Witnesses, he said, I'm taking you to the desert so I can shake out all this religiosity out of you. I was like, that's him. This is what happens. So be careful. I tell people when you say, God, I want to do your will, he says, okay, fasten your seatbelt. I'm going to take you for a ride. Where are we going? Well, we got to rebuild you for one. First, we got to get all that stuff out of you. We got to yank that book out of you that's so full so I can write some new pages in you. You have no room for me in there. Anyway, I know I'm crazy.
Oh, no.
Thank you for sharing with us tonight, Gayle. We sure do
Thank you.
appreciate it, and we sure love you. And I know people are going to get a lot from your
Yes,
story.
yes.
Just even the fact that they're going to feel like that, you know, she's struggling a bit here, and you know what, so am I, and I'm not alone in it. And
I know.
and
And
she
we
said
struggle
she's
too.
getting better, and so I guess I'm going to get better too. Gayle says we're going to get better. So, and
And
so
let's-
it gives people hope because
Yes.
they're gonna get better
And the
too.
courage to say, I want that out there. I want that. What's calling me.
Yeah.
Something's calling me to love everybody. Like you said it, Gayle.
Yeah.
I want to love everybody. I don't want this division anymore,
I want to
separation.
give. You said I want to give
Yes.
something to them. I don't want to just,
Yes.
you know, be bothersome and
You can't
worrisome
tell me
and
God ain't rewriting
angry.
you right now. He's rewriting
Rewriting.
all of your infrastructure. He's rewriting everything,
Yes.
writing right over your brain, writing right over. He's going right through the hard drive, pulling out the hard drive, writing right over it.
Doing a good job too.
Yeah.
I like all the love part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You're
Yeah.
so
Loving it.
You're moving fast.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, it don't seem like it.
Oh, man. Oh, okay. I know that
Angela.
was really.
I pick up on that big time when people, the love part of it. And I mean that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the main thing. You'll know
Yeah.
him by the love.
Yeah.
It didn't say you'll know him by this or that, or
Yeah.
he says you'll know him by the fruits.
That's
They'll be
right,
have
by
love,
love.
joy, peace, happiness. They'll be
The love
filled with the
ones,
Spirit.
like,
Because the Spirit is not from this world.
yeah.
The Spirit, God gives that Spirit. And so that's what we want. And sometimes it takes us coming out of all that junk, all that separation, all that fear, all that yuck. It just thinking about it, you know. I look at my brother and it's so sad because he's such in fear. His wife almost died. They're such in fear and shame and guilt. And it's my older brother, and he's the presiding overseer in the Jehovah's Witnesses. My younger brother just died in guilt and fear and shame. My younger brother just died. My baby brother, he got out and he started watching me and Angela talk. And I said, you know, he saw the freedom. He's like, my brother's free.
Yeah.
He don't have this noose around him. He don't have this, I don't know what you'd call it, this thing religion puts on you, bridle, you know, pulling you around. And, you know, he says he's free. My brother looked on one day and he goes like this. He goes, Dan, he's like, is that you? Like, are you serious?
Yeah, it was
I mean,
funny.
he freaked out. He's like,
He
"Well,
did.
who are you? Who, you know, well, I'm outside of all that stuff now.
Yeah, we went and this lady had us on her show. It was Cherie Peters with
Television show.
Celebrating Your Life in Recovery was the name of her program. And so we went down to Illinois. I don't remember the town now, but down in Illinois, and they had this wonderful crew and filming, and they filmed us. And so they decided to name the talk. Am I too
Are you
too
crazy
crazy for God? That was what they named it.
Because we were crazy.
So no, it was really, really good.
It was one of the most watched television
It
shows they
was.
ever had.
Yeah, it talked about sex addiction and masturbation.
Everything. We just brought it up.
All kinds of stuff. Alcoholism, you know, everything that he'd ever done. It was all came out there. Then we talked about codependency. It was an hour-long program. And when we got all done, and that we got to take the CD to his brother. Well, his
They
brother,
had to put a PG-13 on it.
they did. It was a church religious. It was a religious station. Three Angels Broadcasting was the name of it. We're not part of that church, but anyway, that was what it was called. So his brother, he wore that thing out. I had to give him
100
another.
times.
And so we give him the CD, and he goes, "Who do you think you are?"
Yeah,
you know?
he looked at me. He's like, "Is that my brother?
Like,
You were an alcoholic when I saw you last. You were messed up.
Yeah.
You were a ministerial servant in the Jehovah's Witnesses. You know what happened to you?" He was like,
he was blown
he
away.
just kept playing it like my brother's got his head back. He's normal.
He is normal.
He just
now.
kept looking at me like,
Oh, I love.
isn't that beautiful?
And all his kids are going to college, and all of his daughters are doing
He's
fantastic.
free. He's free now. He's happy.
And yes, he is. He's so
Wow.
It's
free. So
beautiful.
God,
He
God
survived.
did this.
My other brother ain't gonna make it.
So if
Unfortunate.
you
My
get-
oldest.
And if you, when any of us get stronger, it helps many others.
Oh,
Hide it, like, what's that little sign thing that says hide it under a bushel? No, I'm going to let it shine. It's like shine your light. You know what I mean? The Bible talks about that. Don't
When
hide your
you
light.
show up as
Shine
you,
it.
it's a beautiful thing. And my brother saw me in the altered reality. Religion, the witnesses was an altar set up in the by the Jehovah's Witnesses governing body. It was an altar. We're the mediator. We hear Jehovah's voice. Listen to us like your life depends on. When my brother saw I was out and actually laughing at him, I was like, no, you don't say babies are an enemy of Jehovah. No, you don't say I'll be glad when they're all dead. That's what they said. The guy lit a match. He goes like this. He goes, you want to know what we think about this?
Leader
The
of
governing
the-
body of Jehovah's
leader
Witnesses,
of the-
Tony Morris. He goes, you want to know what we think about those who leave? He goes, the maggots aren't even going to die on their body. They're going to feed on them forever. And he goes, I'm so excited. He goes to just demonstrate this. And he takes out a match and he goes, this is those ones who left. And he lights it and he goes, gone.
Aren't you going to be
Never
glad?
going to come back. He gets a
Aren't
standing
you gonna be
ovation
glad when they
from
are
the
no more?
people in the Kingdom Hall. Like, yeah, be glad when they're gone and wishing me dead.
Yeah.
And then
It's on video film. It's all over.
it's
the
all
internet.
over the internet. And then one of the other governing bodies says, well, you think babies are cute and cuddly, don't you? He goes, well, I'm going to tell you what these babies are. Babies are an enemy of Jehovah. Did you know that? Until they're proven what they are, until they're baptized, they are an enemy of, be considered to be an enemy of Jehovah. And we went, oh my God, these are psychopaths.
Right, yeah.
So we were talking like this free. And my brother's going, he's not afraid of those governing body anymore. He's not afraid of that. I serve God. I'm with God. I don't have to fear what men do to me. You can't hurt me. You'll take me when God says to take me, if you take me at all. You know what I mean? So, but God says, you know what? I'm gonna do the restore. I'm gonna show my power. And so he restored me. And guess what? It saved my brother. It saved my younger brother, Paul. It saved him.
And now his daughters are
It
doing
saved
good.
him. And now
so,
his daughters are growing up without religion.
Yeah.
My daughters are growing up without religion.
With God, they have God. So
Yes.
it's just not, they have relationship.
Exactly. Oh, wow. Oh, this is a deeper subject. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's phenomenal. That is. Yes.
And just so you know, these kids today are smart. They're born in, I don't know, there's a word,
Yeah, they are.
indigo kids.
Indigo.
Indigo kids. They're special. They see right through the bull crap. And like, they just laugh at religion, most of them. They're like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. You think I'm
That's so
a
funny.
man or something? Go ahead.
When you said that, I'm like, okay, because that was the answer. That was the day that I was like, oh, I gotta ask Dan again. What does he mean by that? Because I never made, I'm not. And when you said what you did, it was interesting. There was not a twist to it, but I mean, you're thinking, it helped me put it that way, but it cracked me up when you said, yeah. Anyway, I mean, there's oh man, there's a lot here. I mean,
Doing good.
Yeah, you are.
Let it all sink in.
authentic.
And the Lord will organize it. He'll start organizing it, putting it into categories. He's in the construction business. He knows what he's doing. He's a master
and
builder.
And just just to remind you what I said in my book that I think is very powerful for me, but my cult counselor said, Angela, how did you get so far so fast? I really don't understand this. And I said, I just prayed to God and I kept asking him to repair my brain,
Make me whole.
and to what was exactly, how did I say it? To repair my brain. Yeah. Anyway, and so guess what I said? I really do believe that he heard every word and he repaired my brain.
Angela's brain almost like detached from her retina. I mean, it did. It was like really, you remember you took that one thing? Oh
yeah, I had to take this stuff called DSF.
D-Manos or
no, D-Manos.
No.
DSF. It's something that tells your hypothalamus to shut off, because my hypothalamus was on all the time. So that's that fight or flight. And the trauma real bad, right? So because it doesn't turn back off anymore, it's stuck on. And so the DSF, it's a natural thing that tells the hypothalamus to shut back off again. And then that way I can function and not feel so, like I'm on, what I mean, OCD kind of like. So anyway,
and God
really
restored that, put it back together.
Yeah.
God put her back together.
Yeah.
Well, it's important that we don't overthink things, but that we think through things, that we think through things and learn how to do that. And you said it perfectly. And I've gotten to I have become encouraged. Sometimes I feel like, man, I mean, it's so, I'm surprised that I can understand all this stuff. I mean, it's just like, it's flowing like rivers of
Yeah.
flowing water.
That's awesome.
And no, really. And I'm realizing I had different definitions for things, I have, like just, there are certain things that I really didn't know, and it still bothers me, but the things that I knew right from wrong and I made mistakes, I make amends for today. And I believe you and I receive that. And I know God's the boss, God's power. That's the way I see it, and there's already been improvement. And, being learning to be our true selves. Who is that? You asked a question, like it was another question, like, or you said something like, okay, this is, and it was incremental. It's so overwhelming that a lot of times I learn in these little increments. I'm okay with that.
That's right. No, that's good.
That is.
And I'll tell you this too, Gail, most people don't know who they are, okay? Most people don't know, who am I? That's the biggest question they even ask in spirituality. Who am I? And so you're not alone, okay? Just know we're sorting it out, but God will reveal it in God's time.
You know what I'm grateful for? I'm grateful that the Lord guided me to this naturopathy doctor lady who knew about that DSF, because it was the natural stuff. And I took it and it got me through. After about a year and a half, I finally decided I don't want to be on this anymore. And I just quit it. And that was a little weird because, I kind of needed that little help, but it got me, it kind of like took that edge off so that I could regain myself for a while. And then I got, so it wasn't a medicine I had to get over it was a natural thing. And anyway, but I said to her one day, I said, Rachel, how long am I going to be on this? And she said, oh, I don't know, the rest of your life. And I'm like, And so after a year and a half, I quit it on my own. I never told her, I just quit it. And I've done okay, but
that's interesting.
I think that I needed that for that period of time. I really, really did.
Yeah. And can I say something too?
Sure.
I just want to add to that. I want you to know this. And the reason I want to tell you this is because just so you never feel like you're alone. But Angela used to wake up and be crying. And say, should we have done this today? Should we have went for a ride today? Do you think God was mad at us today?
Oh, for taking a ride on
for taking a ride on the Sabbath. And she had all these fears, and she'd read the Old Testament and she'd start crying. I said, well, why don't you stop reading the Old Testament and read the New Testament?
God would
just take a sabbatical from the Old Testament.
I felt like the enemy, the devil, or whatever you want to call, I felt like he caused me to read just the places that were going to scare the crap out of me. I really think that was happening. And so then I couldn't, I would just start crying in fear again. I'd be full of fear again. And I just couldn't do it anymore. And Dan finally said, Angela, you need to quit reading your Bible for a little while till you can get yourself pulled together. And so I did. I had to spend several months, really not more than that, probably closer to a year before I find, not that I didn't get it from other things I listened to, but reading it, it was like the enemy was using it as a weapon on me.
It set her back. It keeps setting her back. And I said, put that thing away.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy that you would have to,
it's not crazy. It's not. It's the way I see it. I mean, whatever is truly helpful. And I mean, it's always an honest place. It's like whatever really is truly helpful.
Yeah, that's right.
We're all unique and we're all the same, or we're all unique and we're all different, however they say that. We're all, but you bring up also a really good point. I mean, you're at like, it's not zero anymore. It's more than that. I used to say, man, you feel like you're barely at zero and then you're doing this work but you say something interesting, and I take it to, sometimes you just have to give it a break. If I keep it simple, golden rule, if I keep it like love, I mean, what really is that? Love and service are everything. Sobriety for us is really, it's really important. I mean, that's life for me, thank you for today, I mean it. But it's like, and God does it, and I just, it's acceptance is really weird. You're saying something, it is what it is. And there is a purpose. There is meaning. There is something. I mean, it's starting to make sense. It's happening. I always say it's happening.
Remember Paul?
Yes.
He was responsible for killing a lot of Christians.
Yes.
And all of a sudden whether Jesus literally popped in front of him or or the voice in his head said, "What are you doing?" And he thought about it, and it says he was blinded. Now, if you look at it metaphorically, what does that mean? He was blinded. All of a sudden, he's like, "What am I doing?" It's like he woke up. What
Yeah.
the heck am I doing? And then he said, all of a sudden, his eyes were clear and he could see. And that's what's happening to us. That's what's happening to us right here. We were blinded. We were following blindly these men. We were trusting them with everything. And then all of a sudden, we had a crisis of conscience. Something woke up in us and said, maybe this isn't true. Like they split. Maybe that was a big blessing for you. And you've come out from under that. Because if God's going to use you, I don't think he can use us that well if we're bound up with all these religious ideas of separation. And if he wants to use us in a powerful way, then we have to be what he wants us to be, not what religion
Yes.
or people want us to be. Anyway.
Right.
Yes, I concur with that. I do. Yeah. And you're right. You're right. The fear, is really interesting. I mean, it's used to control, and God is not he's just not that. It's hard even when you like it's your relearning or your deprogramming, whatever you're doing. I don't know. I am who I am, but there's a way. It's possible. There's always a solution. You're not the only one. And God's got the power, and it's happening. And the thing is, like you said, I think I need to look more on what true surrender is, or what, because I just learned it's not the same thing as letting go. And you're trying, and you're,
To thee, O Lord, make me whole. To thee, O Lord, give me back my mind, please. Please erase what doesn't belong and only put what belongs in there. Lord, establish me on the mass of truth. Establish me in your ways. Rewrite me. I belong to you. I surrender to you. I want nothing else but you. It says in Proverbs, it says to turn to the Lord, trust the Lord with all your heart, all your mind,
Lean
and all
on
your
us.
ways. And he says, not lean on your own thinking, understanding, and all your, let go. In all your ways, take notice of me, and I myself, and that's the big J, that's singular, that's not plural, that's not Jesus, and that's like Jehovah, that's the Lord.
God, Lord,
Says, I
Father.
myself, the Father says, I myself will make your path straight. And so you're just crying out to the Lord, make me whole, Lord. Show me your power. Give me homeostasis. Give me peace. Make me a valuable servant for you on earth. Help me love all the people, love my enemies even. Help me, Lord. Help me to become all you meant me to be. And that's the prayer. And that's the same prayer Hawkins prayed. He said, when he said, God, help me, you know what he said, what happened when he tested it, when he kinesiology tested it? He said, when he said, God, help me, it was in a tractor field of 800, which was a little bit below Christ. And he said, what was that, Lord, that helped me? You know what he said it was? He said it was the glance of an archangel. When you cry out to God from the heart and you say, Lord, help me, he'll send his angels. And it says the angels are going to and fro over the earth, looking for people that are broken so that God can put them back together. So you may get the glance of an archangel. When you say, God, make me in your image, it's in a tractor field. Most people in religion are under 200, and they stay in there for the rest of their life. They hardly shift. But God says, I can break all these tractor fields. And he said it was just a glance. It was just this. An archangel looked down and saw him crying. He was an alcoholic. He was on Manhattan somewhere. He was ready to kill himself. Nobody would take him, not even AA, nobody would take him. And he said, to thee, O Lord, I give you my life. And all of a sudden he said it was a glance of an archangel, did that, spun him around. I mean, not literally, but changed his whole life 180, wrote 20 books, started speaking all over the world. He couldn't put his sentences together either.
In the beginning.
And God made him all new and used him in ways that only God could use him, because God says, if you let me rebuild you, I'll make you better than new. I'm going to show the world what I had in mind when I created you.
You know, my dad, he got a lot of help from this one line when he first got out of the worldwide. My dad, he's in Seventh-day Adventism now, but when he got it, he said this statement, this one alone, and it was this: God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And he said that God had him say that all the time. And that's what really was a big, huge help for him to get pulled out of the worldwide, just for whatever that's worth.
No, I love balance. I do. I, you know what? I concur with all of that. In the way that it's come with me, I've had little spiritual experiences all the way. I mean, I know when they're, and it's pretty rapid. It's pretty rapid. And I love it when it's, you know, and the idea is to keep the attitude, you know, even when it sucks completely, you know, or when it isn't, I should say. But I mean, because there's a lot of that.
Yes.
But some people get just, I mean, it's just, however they, you know, a one big old spiritual experience, and man, everything changes. It just is the way it is. I want to know, I want to say I'm grateful though for what I have today, and I really am. And I can, man, thank God for my son. You know, he said something like, Mom, you know, I can see. I was so upset. I mean, something that would mean something to me, that just, I mean, I'm not like, you know, just that reminds me of something or whatever. It could be anything in life. You know, I can be misunderstood and I can be misinterpreted. And he did say that. He goes, you know, I was upset over something that I was like the exact opposite of what someone else thought. Like, it wasn't that way for me. But at the same time, it doesn't, you know, I'm learning not to be so affected by other people's outside opinions. If I really think, you know, if I'm really just, hey, it's a neutral thing, one way or the other. And, you know, there's that, and that's, you know, but I am grateful for today and for what I already have. And I do, something is happening. And I am so thankful for that. And what you said about the under 200 energy, I cannot accept that. When I heard like, okay, no way am I going to, oh, no. I mean, once you get up,
there's that spiritual will that says, oh no, I'm not going down with the ship. See, there you go.
Oh no, you can't go down with the ship.
That's all Hawkins said. All you got to be is willing.
Yeah.
All you got to do is say, I'm willing, Lord. Make me new.
Yeah,
I'm willing. Just do your thing.
Yeah.
And we don't have to really think about it so much. Just let God do it. He'll even quicken us. If we create a little space for God, he'll come in there and quicken us. We got to slow down the mind. We got to say, you know, I'm not going to think so much. I don't care. Yeah, you know, I'm okay. God's with me. I know God's with me. And let go and let God. And let him do his work and let him speed it up. He can speed it up. He can do whatever he wants. But the mind a lot of times is a trickster. It's the accuser of the brethren. It tells you you're not enough. You're not going fast enough. Look at you. You're a fake. It'll tell you everything. You should have been back. Why'd you leave? It's a trickster. And so sometimes God's got to take that whole program and say, you know, we're going to have to dislodge this thing and take the whole thing out. You need a rebuild, you know?
Yeah,
so,
I know.
Tell your mind to shut up.
Yeah, tell your mind to shut up.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Try to do that.
Oh, I sure love you, Gayle.
But Gayle,
Thank you
probably
so
round it
much.
up.
Yeah.
But do you feel like you said enough on this?
I
That's right.
oh man, I don't know how, I mean, I want to make sure that, I mean, for me, I know this is just my, you know, there was so much good and there was so many, you know, it's like I said, it's the whole ball of yarn or whatever, where it's the very best and the very, you know, and yes, I just want to, you know, the people are good and just the organization wasn't, and there is a lasting effect. In my experience, I can honestly say that. And it can and has taken many out. And I am just not okay with that in my life. I know I can heal. I trust God. It can happen. You're proof of it. You're proof of it. And I just want to say that I really do believe everybody matters. We all do this individually. We have to. And, you know, we're accountable for our lives best we can, and willingness to learn and grow, super important. If you don't, I mean, pain is growth, yes, but I'm willing, and there's progress, and we all do it together too.
Yes.
You know, we're all, no matter what. And I just this is a doozy. This right now, I know it comes, you're very well spoken. You're very eloquent. You're very brilliant. I task oriented, the whole nine, just like drip. I mean, yeah. And I'm not, well, but me doing this is like, it's real important because I want it behind me. I mean, come on, it's about freedom. It's about, and
Ooh,
I have a beautiful
right
family.
on. You're right on.
You're right on it. You
Yeah,
got
you
the
are.
willingness, and it's going to start. It's happening already. I mean, the fact that you even came on here
Yeah.
is
incredible.
evidence of tremendous growth. We've had people cancel
Oh yeah.
over and
Over and
over and
over.
over and over. And
Oh,
At the last
I would say
second.
I
don't.
wanted to.
Yeah, when we were
Oh,
on
you haven't.
when we were on a
so,
so God.
I almost did. I mean, I thank you guys. Thank you for your patience.
Thank
And for
you.
I know I'm sorry if I keep interrupting.
Oh no, it's just great. It's great, Gayle.
We probably interrupted you more. We're
Yeah,
sorry.
right.
No, there's hope. If you have nothing, you don't have hope. And like, I mean, it's amazing to me that it's this right now. And it's
God's giving you a family, and he knows you can handle the family. He's giving you two beautiful boys. What is it?
They are.
You got the best. I mean,
They're good fathers.
how does it get any better? You've got a roof over your head. You've got a couple.
I know.
Really, we think it's got to be better than that. I mean,
Yeah, and your
I
husband.
hear you.
Your husband even doesn't hate you. I mean, that's a huge big deal. Do you know?
No, he's off. You mean my boys?
No, your
he's
husband. Yeah.
He is a wonderful man.
And that's a blessing that you feel that way.
Huge.
That's amazing. That's a miracle, if you ask me.
That is.
See, you're already operating in the miracles. You're already a miracle. You can see the light in your eyes. You can see the wanting to come together. You're willing to help. You're willing to be truthful. Those are all things. And see, that's where we get help. Did you know the 200's a line of integrity? When you say, I want to speak the truth, right there, everything starts getting better.
Yeah.
You start moving up like this on the scale of consciousness. Everything starts getting better when you say, I got to be honest. There it is, right there.
You have to be.
Yes.
You have nothing without it. No, you don't. And that's like, in some ways, that's another thing. I'm learning this. I've been told you don't have to say everything all the time to everybody. Okay, so
there you go.
Because what's that?
Yeah, I just want to say I had to learn that.
I know.
She's like, Dan, you always have to carry the conversation. I'd go in, how you doing? How you doing? And I go like this. Watch this. I go, and she'd say, why are you bobbing your head? I don't know. I guess my dad used to hit me. And she'd say, Dan, relax. I was with this lady, and she's like, you don't have to carry the conversation. Just say, how you doing? And if they don't want to carry on the conversation, you go, no, maybe I'll come back later, But I had to come out from the Angela too.
I did too.
This bump in our head. We were always like nervous energy.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Learning how to be direct or succinct, that's another thing. Wow. And I love that. Actually, they're the people that, if they can give it to you straight, I'm fine with that. I can handle it. I love that. But learning how to do that, but it's so funny. Yeah, we do that. Just like, but learning the main thing is, the have to be honest. And
and it's hard because, go ahead, Angela.
Just a matter of fact, on that kinesiology scale, that 200 line, right? So there's the 1,000 being like Christ, and then the 0 is apathy. It's so sad and depressing. Really, way down there, you can't live long at the 0 down there. What was apathy? 20 or something like that. You can't live there longer. You'll die. It says, but at the 200 mark of integrity and honesty and all that mark, well, literally, when we start to live there and above, then literally the gravity field of magnetism is going upward. It's proven scientifically. So it's a positive pull of magnetism, of positivity. And if you get below the line of 200, it's a negative pull, which is killing your body.
The
So
mind-body
if
connection.
you can live in that line of integrity and honesty in all things and try to live above there, the healthier you're gonna get, and the more sane we're gonna get, the more like Christ we're gonna get. But sometimes we dip in one day, we'll be down here in sadness and anger, and then back up in here to joy and happiness, and then back down again, all in the same day. But the more we live on above the line of 200, the more our body gets healthier, our mind gets healthier fast. So it behooves us to try to stick up there in the positive feelings and emotions as much as we can, so that we can get better faster and allow the Lord to quicken us faster, and to not live in a negative bodily stress on our bodies too, because below 200 it's killing us. And so
Yes.
the lower you go, the more it's killing us. So physically we'll get sick. We can't stay there.
That's what's so fascinating about what you just said. I mean, this is like, I go, no, I was telling Shane, and well, I was telling him, I was so excited. I go, there's a formula. I mean, there's like, but when I'm reading, it's so well written, or I don't know. It's like, I'm getting it. I can't even believe I can understand it. What you just said is so fascinating.
You understand it. Most people can't understand Hawkins.
No.
They're like,
No,
what
but
are you talking about?
There is a formula. I go, this is fascinating. I knew somebody when you say kinesiology and all that. I go, oh wow, yeah, where's she? I even tried to find her and everything. Okay, no luck, whatever. I mean, this is I'm using the life, whatever, as a tool to just help. I don't know. I won't explain that. I can, but I don't. It's not important.
After I studied Hawkins' material, we wrote this book. Surrender. It says, surrender, your key to the kingdom within. Discover your spiritual power to move mountains. That's what I wrote after.
Who wrote that? When is this your?
Yeah.
Okay. You're that word. That's it. Surrender is the key.
We wrote brainwashing techniques of Jehovah's Witnesses. We wrote Eyewitness, the shocking insider story of Jehovah's Witnesses. We wrote the divine order of alchemy, the ancient.
These are yours.
God. We got a movie.
Wow.
We got a movie.
A movie's going to come out about
Angela's read her second book. We got a movie coming out. We're like, God just grabbed us and says, okay, will you do my thing? Will you do my will? Come on with me then. I can use you. If you're willing, I'll use you. So all this stuff came on us. This is what happens when you move above the 200, when you say, I want to be righteous. I want to be true. I want to be integral. God says, I can use you. Okay, let's do it. Let's two become one now. When the two become one, Jesus said the eye becomes single and the whole body becomes bright. We come into alignment.
That's me.
I know it's just stuff.
No, it's okay. It made sense, and I was trying to
see how she can understand it. That's amazing.
Those are your wow. It's I mean, that's amazing. It's like
more on the way. Lots and lots. We can write books. There's other ones written already. But anyway, this is what God does. He changes everything. He put Angela in my life, put me in there for her there for me, and we become whole together. We've helped each other through all kinds of stuff. She was with me through helping me through my alcohol, and trauma. I haven't drank now. How many years have been? 18 years since the drop. And so, I don't need it. I don't want it. I can pour it. I can buy it. I can help everybody have a good time and pour them a drink, but I don't ever want it in my body again. And because I'm so happy with God and my mind and heart and soul, it's replaced it. It's like, and I like the changes that I've made and God's made in me.
You wouldn't have written any of these books if it wasn't.
I wouldn't have wrote any of those books. And
he was sweat and blood when he wrote this first one, though. I'll tell you what.
That's
wow. I saw those.
And so, but that's all credit to God. And the money came out of nowhere. I mean, there was a time we were only making a little money, and God opened up the financial door for us. This book, how much did it cost to make?
I think it was $30,000.
$30,000. I didn't make $50,000 a year, and we made it in like 1 week. God opened up a door where we were making big money. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, here's me going, I believe. I mean, that's
honestly. We talk about all these things because why not? A lot of people say, oh, don't talk about money. Why? Yeah. God can do whatever he wants with money. He showed us the money. Yeah. Jesus said, throw the nets to the right, which is just your meditation, but you'll find the fish with a coin. That's where the fish are. The right part of the brain is the etheric part of the brain. The left brain is the survival of the fittest. That's the prodigal son. And so eventually it gets tired of trying to figure things out or can't figure things out
Oh, yeah.
to turn inward. It's a two thieves on the cross. You're
That's
right in left brain. This one's faced inward. It's not hooked up. That's the etheric right. The left is turned away. That's the thief that's turned away from Jesus. What's in the middle of the two polar opposites? The Christos is the anointing, is in the middle of the two polar opposites in your head. So Jesus, instead of saying Jesus, it's the Christ. That's the middle place. So in the left brain, I'm trying to show you in here, when the left brain says, I don't know why my kid just died, right? He says,
Right.
I don't know why I'm struggling with alcohol. I don't know why
Right.
it starts to turn inward. And it faces, and Hawkins says, we go from low speed internet to high speed internet. The left brain has to surrender its God's sovereignty because God made you sovereign, do your own thing. But when we say, God, I need a little help, please help me. I don't understand. It turns inward, forms an arch between the right and left brain. And Jesus said, when the two become one, the I become single, the Christos or the anointings activated, and we see with spiritual eyes, and we get new understanding, and we get downloads, whole volumes download. I'm just telling you deep spiritual stuff.
I really believe something electrical happens right there when the left and right brains
Yeah.
come together. But another thing though too is that I believe that it's also, remember when Jesus said to the women at the well, you know, if you would have asked, I would have given you water, the water to drink that you, if you would have had it, then you would never thirst again.
Right.
And I'm always like, Lord, give me that water, give me that. And, you know, and so it's like the man is the food, but that's the living water. And when it comes down the middle place, it's like, it's a never ending river of provision.
It's
Along the riverside where there's always water running and we're always fed all day long, every day. And we're walking in that, and creativity is coming all day long. And we just can't.
Oh, I love that.
Life.
And I'll give you one other illustration. It's the wine.
Sure, yeah.
The wine, you know, they asked,
Okay.
why did you give them the best wine last?
Right.
They said, it's our custom to give them the inferior wine first, get them feeling good, and then give them the junky wine.
Yeah.
They said, Jesus, you gave them the best wine last. And so
Why?
the spiritual understanding of the wine, Jesus didn't make vats and vats and vats of wine for people that were already drunk to show off that he could make all this wine. The second wine is the one that doesn't run out. So the first wine is this. It's your husband, it's your kids, it's your job, it's your new house, it's your car, and it's pretty good wine. But eventually, as life goes on, things crumble, deteriorate, and only then are we ready for the second wine, which is the Christos, the anointing. That's the place where the left brain finally says,
I've had enough.
I had enough. I don't know why I got divorced. I don't know why I'm an alcoholic. I need help. God help me. But look at this. God help me. It's Hawkins says we go from low speed to high speed, but this is on its prodigal journey. This doesn't believe in God. This is, I don't believe in God. That's why he's faced away from Christ. I don't believe in you. You're hanging up here with me, you idiot. You know, you know what I mean? That's what he's saying. Well, logic and reason. Logic and reason. Logic and reason can't figure out all the answers. So eventually, if two become one, the I becomes single, which means your pineal gland's been activated, and the whole body becomes right. All your chakras. I know this is deep shit, but everything comes into alignment, and God goes high speed with you now. God goes like major league. He's got an opening to infrastructure, but our part is to say, to thee, O Lord, Hawkins, 850, help me. And boom, we get help like we've never had before.
Oh, man.
The second wine,
and
the second wine.
Okay, I love that. I love that.
And being that you're a genius, then
Oh, no.
I could tell you smile at this stuff. You know, most people are like, they look at Angela and say, would you tell him to stop talking? Because
Oh, it's fascinating.
I mean, what does he mean? Right and left brain and Christ in the middle and activating spiritual dimensions with surrendered states and royal arches.
No, a lot of it is new, but it's fascinating. I love these kind of conversations. I mean, this is really fascinating. Like, it's not just la la. I mean, it is really, there's like, I'm new to, I mean, it's new. A lot of it is, but when it makes sense, wow.
The amount of it, all The Hawkins,
You
same
wrote
thing.
those?
Some books, yes. This is the same
I
one.
saw those, but I can't read all these books. I was trying to be responsible and go, okay, Angela's, I'm reading, and then I got the Power of It, and then the Let It Go and the Map of Consciousness. I got that in an audio, and then, but I saw those show up. I go, behind, you know, like.
I want to tell you this about Hawkins. If you go on his site, Veritas Publishing, okay?
Veritas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know that.
Yeah, when you go on there, all of his information, all of his books, all of his lectures, everything, $20 a month.
Yeah, you have
Everything,
access
access to everything, all of his
Yeah.
everything. It's thousands and thousands of hours.
Oh man.
But
and
everyone was
brilliant.
stealing his information offline, and they were doing it wrong. So his wife comes on and says, look, $20, you can have everything. You can download anything.
Wow.
And so instead of buying books, man, when you read Eye of the Eye, you'll be done with thinking. Eye of the Eye is the one you want to read.
Oh man.
Okay, then what do I read? Okay, Angela, I want to get to, because I mean,
my book, Eye of the Eye, for sure.
okay, and I'm reading Power versus Force because I needed to, I mean, you know, because
Okay.
you had mentioned that, and then
That's
all of a
first
sudden
one.
it was like making sense, and I knew about a lot of this. I sort of do. And where's my dad? You see, these conversations I used to have with my dad, but then it was the surrender, big deal. I mean, that's
big deal.
You gotta, so you start with surrender. I mean, and I learned something already. And then I said, okay, so what is the most important? What do I read first? I mean, am I doing it okay? Like, what do you recommend? Just keep doing what I'm doing until those are done?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then,
okay, and then
God, what's next? Say, God, what's next for
that's
me?
true.
What do you want to do next? And you'll be led. Trust me, you will be led to the next book, next person.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm doing it all at the same time, slowly. Not bouncing.
Yeah, your brain can absorb it all. That's why you're doing it.
Yeah. Well, thank your son for us for helping out with getting stuff set up.
I will.
What's his name? Shane? Is that Shane?
Yes. Yes.
Love you.
My young one.
Thank you so much, dear.
Thank you.
And
He's
we
in another room.
Yeah.
But thank you guys. I'm turning this. Oh, I don't know. I'm turn my computer off. I'm so. Oh, there's the arrow. Okay, wait. Okay, well, you don't have to wait. You can probably hang up, and then it'll.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Okay. Good night,
all right.
Gayle.
Good night, Gayle.
shut the thing. That's how I do it. Okay. Good night. Thank
Bye.
you. Mwah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.